Okay, ready?
Yes, sir.
With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. All praises are due to Allah, whom we praise and exalt, and of whom we seek assistance and also forgiveness. We believe in Allah, and to his will do we trust and resign ourselves. Refuge in him from the evil of our actions and from the evil of our soul and its actions. Whomever Allah guides, none can mislead him, and whoever does not follow Allah's guidance, there is no guidance for them. I testify that there's nothing to be worshipped except Allah Ta'ala, and I bear witness to the fact that Muhammad is his messenger and servant. We beseech Allah to send your blessings on Muhammad, upon his family, upon his wives, his children, and all of his relatives. Ameen. We extend the greetings to you of Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Islamic Perspective Hour. Your speaking host for today, Imam Hassan Tamir. We want to get right to the subject. And the subject is the talk that we were doing Friday. This is an extension of the Friday Khutbah. When we last left off, we were talking about how we as a people should take pride in training our young people, our children, about the ways of our ancestors, about our history. And I read a quote from Imam Muhammad, which pretty much went like this. He said that African Americans, when we look at our history as a people, a little better than 100 years ago, well, say 170 years ago, really, we were slaves. And there are a lot of us who would like to forget that. And a lot of us have forgotten that. And that has brought shame to us. He said that some of our children today don't know about our history. And that's an indictment and a shame upon us all. He said that this forgetting is a shame on us, that we don't keep our people or even our children informed about the history-shaping encounters in the life of us as a group. And that's true. Now, we had also mentioned about patriotism. And Imam Muhammad, there was a period in his life where Allah had inspired him and gave him great insight into American culture, which is that's what the talk is about. It's about culture. And in that inspiration, in that body of knowledge, in that wisdom, the Imam came out with a direction for us. And it was for us to go into a new kind of patriotism for this country. The patriotism in this country, for the most part, excluded us from a lot of things. We found ourselves having to make up stuff or to do things just to fit in. Well, case in point, the 4th of July was just celebrated. And most of us know, those of us, if you've had even an elementary education, you've been exposed at some point in time to the body of knowledge that tells you that the 4th of July is not the Independence Day for the African American. This heightened attention that has been given to the Juneteenth celebration, even the youngest minds now know that our independence took place during the time from June 13th to June 19th in the year 1865. A lot of our young people are now aware of this. But Imam Muhammad sparked this and initiated this by picking up the American flag. Now, we have been conditioned as a people to resist the American flag, to shun it, to get away from it, to not even make it a part of our apparel. We didn't even want it around our shoulders like the Olympians wear when they go into their games. We wasn't having any of that. And the reason is justifiable. As you know, the history, the things that were done to us in this country in the name of the flag, under the guidance or the pushing of this government, the things that were done to us. And so it just made sense, and it was natural for us to not want to do the flag. But as I said, Imam Muhammad, he went in, he found something in the framework, in the Constitution. He found that Quranic principle in the Constitution. He brought it to our attention. And it made sense to us that we should embrace the real patriotism of this country. It just made perfect sense. Brother Imam?
And I think the message also was saying is that if we're going to make change, we can't make change from the outside. We have to change realizing that we have to be part of the inside. And being part of the inside is realizing that the contributions that our forefathers made and the blood that was shared in building and establishing this country.
Yes.
So to me, it's no brainer, for African Americans or Blacks or whatever they want to call themselves to be a part of the American framework. Not this negative part, but to be
yes.
to get involved for change.
Yes.
To make America better again.
Yes. That's an excellent point. That's
America better again.
Excellent point, and to your point, Brother Imam. Yes, the Imam was blessed with that insight and that wisdom. And actually, his movement paralleled that of Prophet Muhammad, praise and peace be upon him, in the sense that the Prophet, praise and peace be upon him, came to do what? To purify religion. The corruption that had taken place in religion before the advent of Al-Islam. The Prophet was sent to purify that. The Imam came on the scene to purify American culture. There's a parallel there. So he infused this right thinking in us, this right respect in us for the right kind of culture, as Imam Umar just pointed out. The right kind of culture, the good part, not the bad part, not the negative part, but everything that's in the culture that gives us life. As we mentioned Friday, Allah made the clarion call in the Iqamah when He's calling our attention to worship Him, and by worshiping Him, it only makes perfect sense that we align ourselves with these principles so that we can establish ourselves as Muslims here in America. Let us understand what we're facing here in this country in America when we want to make progress with our life to establish ourselves as believing Muslims here in America. We are, by our racial makeup, African Americans, right? We have some people amongst us who may not be African Americans, but nevertheless, they're amongst us. But for the most part, our gatherings are that of African Americans. And therefore, the attention has to be given in principle to that particular group. Not at the exclusion of the other groups, but because we have a special set of problems, we need a special set of resolutions to deal with those problems. Some outsiders might look at that and say, oh, y'all think y'all special in the sense that you think you are entitled to these remedies. No, it's not about entitlement. It's about what is due, and it's about what is right. It's about those rights that were taken away from us, those rights that were denied us, those basic human rights that were denied us. The very language that the United States Constitution upholds, that language, as it has been pointed out and shared with us by our leadership, was inspired by the Quran. And so because of that, we are standing behind the righteous principles of this government, the righteous principles of the American government, not in the condition that it is now, as we mentioned Friday. America's independence is not so great anymore because its democracy is imploding. It's breaking down from the inside by the very people who were placed in power to uphold these laws of this land. They are dismantling them and causing so much chaos in the land and so much confusion to even the most normal citizen now questions their citizenry. They question their own citizenry. The leadership has caused such havoc in the government that the people don't know who to trust. And we're looking at this unfolded in real time before our eyes, just like the odd people did in the Talmud. Right there in real time, they're watching these things going down as the oligarchs, the super rich, begin to punish the people just because they're poor. And really, when you look at it, when you strip down all the language, that's all it is. You want to hurt somebody because they're not like you? Let's make this make sense. That's a clear path to a real mental breakdown. That you would set out to hurt people because they're not like you. They're not in your class. They're not in your caste. They're not of your race. And the only thing you can do is to think about is to oppress them. Brother Imam, you had a comment.
I agree to add on to what you were saying is that, to put on another perspective is that, the rich is about getting power. The rich is about getting more for themselves. They don't care anything about the people.
No.
They don't have a sense of empathy. They don't have a sense of seeing you hurt or anything like that. It's almost like what we see with the Palestinians. Every day now you see they take off 40, 30, 20. You know what I'm saying? Every day, every day. And it's like they have a numb heart, you know. So the rich, you know, they don't have a problem with poor people. Their problem is what they can get you to do, they did it. So in other words, they want to make you a slave. And a lot of us don't realize and see, you know, what the big picture is going up, what the big picture is. And I'm gonna close with this here, is that they just passed $1 trillion, all right, $1 trillion, all right. Now, on the other side, now they're gonna try to sit back and see if they can recoup through tariffs, all right? But on the other side, what they're not letting you see is that they're building concentration camps that are going to be funneling, or what they used to call it laundering money. Laundering money is going to be, these camps are going to be ran by people that are in positions to take this money, all right, give them as less service as they can, but to use that money to go through these camps to make the rich even richer.
Yep.
You know, it's the biggest money laundering scheme that they're putting on the people in the name of ICE or whatever they want to call it, or whatever. And here's one president, open the door and let the people in. They didn't come in any kind of criminal way. They came in through the door of under our former president. They let them come in. All right. So here's another president now trying to treat them like they did the wrong thing. You know, they was invited to come in. Now you rounding them up and you pull them in cage and you treating them like they're not human. You know,
Yes.
and whatnot, in the name of what's that? The statue that sits in liberty. In the name of liberty. You know, the whole statue said, bring me your poor, bring me your hurt, bring me all of these people to come over here and whatnot. And they come over here only for a bunch of rich people to sit back and learn and cipher money through the system in the eyes of the people, right in the eyes. Man, Muhammad said that Shaitan works now that he does it right in front of your face.
Yes.
But he do it in a way that you don't even recognize it if you don't have wisdom to see it.
Yes. Yes. Excellent point, brother, man. Oh.
One quick addendum to that, Channel 11 did a whole expose on the Statue of Liberty, and the whole thing, the sculptor, his whole vision was that this was going to talk, I'm losing the word, but put light on the freeing of the slaves. The statue had the chain from the slave that symbolized the chains of slavery in the hand, and then they changed it to something else, and then they now all you see is like a piece of a chain at the foot. So it went all the way away from his initial.
Went from the slave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Free.
She's talking about, I'm telling the audience that she's talking about the original design of the Statue of Liberty. The way it was originally designed was, it was designed to represent the enslaved people. The original statue had chains on the foot, on the arm. She was draped with them, right? I think I saw a picture.
And
I don't think they even let it circulate no more.
In her arm.
And then from the scroll to the torch.
Like a little piece of it at the foot.
Yes. 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 Which brings me to the point about Frederick Douglass's speech. What does the 4th of July mean to me? And that's what he did. He gave a scathing, beautiful oratory on the hypocrisy, the deceitfulness, and the lies of the Caucasian leadership at that particular time, who was running the country. And just in a nutshell, he was just telling them what this day means to you, it has no significance to me. And then we also pointed out the fact that because the 4th of July, 1776, we were still in chains. We were still enslaved. So that doesn't have real bearing or real significance to us whatsoever. So Frederick Douglass, he pointed this out, and once again, I like to recommend, if you get the time and you can go Google the speech of Frederick Douglass. It's, like I said, it's about 14 pages long, but it's a good read. It's a good read because the prelude, the way he comes into it, the way he sets it up, is that he brings up the glorious history of the Caucasians all the way from Rome, and he talks about all of the efforts that they put toward freedoms in different periods of time. And then he comes right up and then he talks about himself and the plight of our people and how it's just so unfair. It's just so wrong. And all at the same time he was saying this, he was letting them know he didn't have, that his oratory skills wasn't set for that, but that was the spirit that God had moved him in. And so he was compelled to give that speech. And I would like to believe they were pretty shocked because they thought they was going to get entertained. You know how they get us come up there and I guess for a lack of a better expression, they was trying to get him up there to do a Paul Robeson kind of thing. He was going to get up there and just entertain them with all his oratory. But he laid out the truth, and it burned them. It burned them up. It burned them real bad. And so this is what we have to do, because that's what he established that on. We as a people, if we're going to get establishment, if we're going to realize any kind of real success, then we got to recognize that through the culture of Al-Islam, it's going to give us our rightful place. It's going to put us in a position of understanding so that not only will we purify the culture here in Al-Islam, but it will impact the culture throughout the country and the world, because that's our role. That's our job. This is what we are supposed to do as Muslims. This is why we hear this repeated expression in the Quran, where Allah talks about placing a Khalifa in the world, in the land. This is us. This is God's chosen people. When God chooses a people, God chooses a person, and He raises them, and He places them in the earth to do what? To straighten out the path that went crooked. He want to bring it back to a straightness again. So we have to understand that we are not typical African Americans in this society here in America. We have Al-Islam in our lives, and that's what makes us different. If it don't, we need to take a look in the mirror. I've said this, I say it again. That's our distinction. Some of us are not aware of that, especially our younger Muslims. And when you're not aware of that, it puts your life, your spiritual life, in a bad situation. And that's why we're having this discussion about Deen al-Islam and our cultural life and how it's infused and how it's inspired by the religion of al-Islam. Our religion, al-Islam, it should be seen as our distinction. If you are not different, then something's terribly wrong. An African-American Muslim is not to be just typical of African Americans. An African American Muslim should be distinguished among the African American crowds. We have to get up and we have to be above the unprincipled people, the people that have no principle, the people that follow no rules, the people that follow no dictates to what is right. We have to be disciplined. We have to be clean. We have to be upright. We have to be dignified. We have to engage in truthfulness and be honest. Our intentions should be well-meaning, and our conscience of things should be respected. The things that we are conscious of, we should give respect to those things because why? All of these things are a part of creation. They are part. And so Allah commands and demands that we respect everything that's in creation. We should be looking at ourselves in a higher and higher position, or we should see ourselves on the scale of excellence. The scale of excellence, intelligence, and the scale of excellence in our conduct. The scale of excellence in our character and our behavior, and with significant and rich thoughts and aspirations. All these things should be a part of us. You don't have to be rich to be rich. You don't have to have money to talk money. Just having that mind is going to improve your situation for getting there. And once again, to Imam Omar's point, this is another thing we got to watch out for in our culture. They try to get us caught up in this money. And this money, and now they've learned how to tweak the money and associate it with power. And that's why a lot of us, especially amongst the African Americans, we'll get rich overnight, so to speak, get some money real quick, and right away we think we got power. And only to find out that no, you're not in the club yet. You may have a dog in the fight, but no, not yet. You're not official. And how do they rectify and let us know? Some people might disagree with this, but that's why Puff Daddy's in jail. P. Diddy, what up? Yeah, he's in there. He's in there, and they're charging him with these sex crimes. But when did these sex crimes become so egregious that they had to go through this kind of thing, and they don't go through that with nobody else in society? Only with African Americans or people, brown-skinned people, these things are exacerbated. They are stretched out of the norm.
Because there's Weinstein and with that other guy that killed himself in jail.
Epstein, yeah.
Epstein, the other guy, one of those killed himself.
But look at the news coverage, and you can it's not as detailed from day to day as it is with those guys. Yeah, Weinstein, and I think he's still on trial, right? But you still sparsely hear about his going ons. But it's a daily thing with P-Diddy, see, because this is what we need to understand. This is a dual message. The dual message is, you Negroes, This is what happened to you when you think you got power, if you think you got some money, if you think you can get in our club, this is what we do to you. R. Kelly, Bill Cosby. Let's go all the way back to Sam Cooke. Let's go all the way back to James Brown, who had to fight for his rights. A lot of the entertainers back then, they had to fight those gangsters for their publishing rights to their music, for their lyrics. Every day it was a battle because their very livelihood was being taken from them. The very threat that the shaitan made in the Quran about threatening you with poverty, they was living it. It was more than the threat then. They was actually having their wealth taken from them, literally, with the stroke of a pen. Prince had to change his name to come back into his fame. Michael Jackson, I mean, so this list goes on. So the point is there's a pattern. Now, I was told that P. Diddy was trying to establish a real positive movement amongst the African Americans in terms of, he was trying to set up some kind of a movement. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along a positive, constructive nature that was going to help African Americans. He was trying to invest in it. And this is one of the reasons why he was shut down. The same reason why, if you recall, when Dr. Bill Cosby set out to buy NBC, next thing we know, he's jailed. He's jailed. And say that again? Yes. And these things are done because you'll have individuals like these brothers and women, and they see our people need help. And they see the blessings that Allah has given to them materially. So they engage and they say, well, I'm going to use this wealth to help my people. And as soon as they use the wealth for the right thing to help people, because it don't just help us, it helps others. It goes beyond us. When you do good, you can't all the time restrict the good that you do. It will filter out and have other good effects on other things. So this is what is going on, and they don't want this. They don't want this amongst us. They have to. They say one of the first things an army does when it goes into the so-called enemy lands, is do what? Take out communication, destroy communication. So there was no way in the world they was going to let Bill Cosby get NBC, which would give him the leverage and the power to communicate to us in the way that he had been doing all his life. His shows. Many of us grew up on his shows. They were educational. Yeah, they was funny, but there was a lot of wisdom in it. And even in his comedy, do you know he is a rarity amongst African American comedians who was able to get to the top of his game without using profanity? I used to have his albums.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny. Man was funny. Not one cuss word. Not one cuss word. But they didn't want that for us. They want for us to engage in vulgarity. So they grab a hold of our culture in the entertainment world. And they put in that petri dish, their culture dish, poison. All kind of poisons. Anything that will trip out or turn out the African Americans' culture, whatever good in it, let's sink it. Let's destroy it. Let's turn it out. Let's rid the people of that goodness in their culture. And then they put in fascia, lewdness. They robbed us of our cassia, the ability to be humble, and they put in us the influence of fascia. In the town of Sodom and Gomorrah, and we can throw Pompeii and all those other historical places, while Allah had to destroy them because of their excessive sexual perversion. Allah wipes them out, takes that town out. It's done because the people became so bold in their doings that they took it to the public. You've heard the expression, what you do behind closed doors, right? And this even stands today. How can I say this without being offensive to the alphabet community? The, the, they had the whole entire month of June. So I think what I'm trying to say, without, I'm always trying not to be offensive to any group, is that you, and I just said something, and I got to mention this. You're going against your nature, and you want the world to accept you as natural. But this is against intelligence. We can't delude ourselves and prop you up and say that your way is natural when we know that it's unnatural, and we see it through all creation. Allah has made this so. There's no way you can change this law and make what is unnatural natural. So you can create your own community, your own language. You can be locked up. You don't let that out. So the fact that you will publicly display this, you have obligated Allah now to destroy you. And that's what Allah has done. And that's what Allah continues to do, because Allah is protecting the innocent. Brother Imam?
Just going back a little bit to, you were talking about the stars and whatnot, nothing, like you just mentioned, nothing happened unless Allah wills for it to happen. And Allah is the one that brings the darkness into light. Whatnot, true enough, a lot of these stars in the African American community, did a lot of good things, in light of the advancement of recognition for the African American community and whatnot, and also behind the scenes, also they did things that was not good, that caused problems for them that we see it has came to light and whatnot. And we can't just give a pass on injustice. Justice has to be answered too. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was recognized because of all the characters and qualities that he exemplified as a human being before he even became a prophet. And that didn't cause him any problem. Imam Muhammad, I remember he said one time, he said when he goes to a speaking engagement at and he's staying in a hotel, he said somebody come knocking on his door in the middle of the night, he said he don't answer. Because you don't know if it's gonna be a naked woman with a man with a camera. So when you open the door, they're gonna take it.
Yes, yes.
And the picture's gonna go out there.
Yes. And then yourself, you don't entertain nobody at that time of the morning, that time of the night. So you're not going to get up and, oh, let me go see who's at the door. Yeah.
Is that the things that we see that's happened in our community with these people in the entertainment business, whatnot. This is Allah's will that He's showing us, and it's His will also in helping us as we move forward, that we have people that will try to purify, if I could use that language, their conduct and their behavior and their action as they begin to ascend, you know what I'm saying, in that business. So when it do come time, to make big purchases like a football, a team or a television station, they ain't got nothing on you.
Right.
They ain't got nothing on you. You've been in the dark, they ain't got nothing on you, and in the light, they ain't got nothing on you.
Nothing.
Imam Muhammad said that. This is what Imam Muhammad said. I'm glad you mentioned that point. He said, who is they? Who is they that's stopping you? Who is they? And I say, who is they? We have the ability today, you know what I'm saying?
Our thing is we don't believe strongly, like our iman has weakened. Yeah.
Nobody covered that. They didn't cover the man.
No, they don't want, no, they don't want that to get out.
But they covered him on national TV.
Yeah.
Never.
But you know what? Social media has become a great tool. I love, John Lemon his personal life ain't too crazy, but I'm glad to see that he has turned that negative situation into a positive situation. And I'm glad to see Joyce
Joy Behar, Joy
Right.
Reed.
Reed also do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Now in the social media, platform, so we have to realize that, yeah, that's true. They don't want to get it out, but it's coming out.
I always said the bad wind that don't change. At some point in your life, you're gonna change. You're not gonna be the same.
Yeah.
As our children grow up, we teach them that. We see them struggling, we see that, but we look for the betterment in them.
That's right.
Yes.
Our parents look for the betterment in us. They're not gonna, God didn't create no perfect, that's what we're striving. He says striving. None of us gonna have a perfect record, a perfect history, nothing. But when you get into that kind of arena, they're gonna look for any and everything, and they're gonna make up stuff.
And that's what I was about to chime in on. The very last thing you said, make up some stuff. Because now with the AI, there's nothing they can do.
They called made up guy. He was a super.
Yeah, a poet, a madman. Yeah,
Don't listen to him. He's got a way to hypnotize you with his voice.
they did. They did.
And, so, I mean, this time here, in modern time, they got the same thing.
Yes.
But it doesn't change your character. You still have the ability to live the best character and the most decent life.
Because your God-given nature is still the same.
That, just like Allah caused Prophet Muhammad to win over all of that.
Yes.
It caused you to win over all.
Same, that's right.
And back in the day, the imam said, you have a problem with the children and everything, just never give up on them.
Yes, never give up on. Matter of fact.
That's the stuff, don't give up.
So we got to be aware. If we're talking about establishing ourselves in America, I can't never see you over there. Let me. I'm not doing this intentionally. sister.
Okay,
Okay, is it messing with it when I shift it
Get it on the side of your face.
like this?
Sure.
Okay.
okay. But this goes, everything everybody was saying shows how we got lost when we integrated. When we were segregated, we had our community that was strong and everything, even though they had Black Wall Street everywhere. So the integration was really like a downfall for how.
Yes. I can see it.
Well, we didn't have the power of the integration.
Actually, to echo, yeah, what you just said, Stephanie, that was the expression of Dr. Claude Anderson, who wrote Dirty Little Secrets. In his book, that was one of the things he pointed out. He said one of the downfalls, one of many downfalls that really crippled us and hurt us as a people is when we fell for the trick of integrating. His family was one of the families that had the black bus line. And so during the boycott, the black-owned bus line, as you know, became very popular. And it lasted about a year, maybe about 18 months that boycott lasted. So the Satan decided, oh man, they got one over on us. How we gonna get them back into our fold? Okay, let's put out this false claim of equality. We're gonna let you get on the bus and sit by us now. But really what it was designed to do was take us away from what we were establishing. We left our establishment to go join somebody's establishment because they promised us that their ice was gonna be colder and it was gonna be fair and it was gonna be equality and it was gonna be equity, and and that didn't last 5 seconds. And we're still enduring this today.
Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, how can a man who can't treat you right teach you?
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
and the worst thing that we fell into was that trap was integration.
Yes,
When we were doing so well,
by ourselves.
supporting our
Yes, yes,
we just had to have a piece of the rich man's world.
yes,
I want to say the white man's world, but we have to stop saying that. I want to say the rich man's world, you know, that we left our world for their world.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know,
And-
and it's still happening today because
we were rich.
they take the best of our talents
Mhm.
and they go to work. Amazon, all these big trillion-dollar companies and whatnot, you know, that they give you a lavish lifestyle for it, but the benefit is harmful to humanity.
Yes, and that's the problem. If the benefit is harmful, you got to get rid of it. Yes, ma'am.
Bill Cosby's upgrade on the other comedian, what's his name, Dick Gregory? With his
They
but he was just.
they had different styles. Yeah, yeah, because and I'm glad you mentioned that because Dick was, like I say, he was another one of those. He didn't use a profanity in his act. Yeah, no, he wasn't like that. Dick was a pioneer of what they call intelligent humor. The things that you would hear come out of like D.L. Hughley, his comedy now has changed. He's more, they call it political commentary. So when he cites things that are happening in society, but he adds humor to it. Bernie Mac was doing that before he passed. There was another comedian that started, Chappelle. Yeah, matter of fact, Chappelle's Muslim. Yeah, Chappelle is Muslim. No, he is Muslim. Not was. He's Muslim. He's Muslim. He talked about that time in his life when he walked away from that $50 million contract. They had messed with his knob so much, he admitted, he said, y'all destroyed he said, I was a law-abiding, conscious Muslims, and you MFs said you destroyed it. He said, you killed me. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but he was angry when he went to express how that had happened. And he said it took him out of his Islam. But he come back, and though we look at him in that comedic light with the profanity, and we don't necessarily associate him with being Muslim, but how many Muslims walk around don't cuss? I mean, we do. We just don't make a life of it. That's the point. He's where he's at, you know, Allah have mercy on him. But we can't seek that as a business. We can't consciously go into a business like that saying, you know, I'm gonna be a famous comedian, I'm gonna be the cussingest sailor you ever seen. Not a conscious Muslim. You know, not if you was in that life, case in point, Farrakhan was a musician. When he came up under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the influence was to lead music. He put it down, left it, but the drive, the spirit was still there. And then he was told that he could do the music. And he came out and he started doing his recitals. Why? Because it was clean, it was pure. It was none of the crap that they put out here today. The degenerate music that down women, you know, and exaggerate man's prowess. Yes.
Promote that for the.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They don't let them.
Yeah. I mean, how many young artists that we know of, I've heard of, or read, they went into the executive producer's office and they went in clean and he was told, oh, we can't use what you got. Now you need to dirty this up. We need some filth in this. Come back when you got some filth. Yeah. And they know this and they put this stuff, but they won't let their families listen to it. They won't let their children listen to it. Yeah, yeah. Like this situation we got going on with the food. This food processing now, it's hard to get real food. It's hard. Everything you get now is artificial. It's hard to find a good watermelon. You got to go hither and thither to find watermelon with seeds. It used to be common. And now the watermelon man take advantage of it because he know you can't find it in the store. So you go get a watermelon this big, you pay $25 for a watermelon the size of an apple, but it's because it has seeds. And we trying to stay close to nature, but we got people out here taking advantage of that. Oh, you want nature? You want to be close to nature? Well, here's the price. Yes.
And then they say that like the juices and stuff like that, if it said from concentration, it's not the real deal. It's
Concentrate, yeah.
when it said not from concentration.
Yeah.
Organic now.
Organic.
Oh, yeah, because they'll throw a word in a minute. Yeah, they're. Yes. Oh, natural flavors. That's a cold word. Natural flavors is a loophole in the law that lets them put anything in the ingredients that they want. They don't have to be accountable for it. That's what the catch is for natural flavors. It's a loophole in the food law, FDA law. They can get away with anything.
Most of these senators very wealthy, these manufacturers, a lobby and pay them.
And they do, but and to your point, sister, they make the kind of money they can buy real food. Almost no matter how much money we make, we not on that level where we can get the real food on a daily basis like they can. How many of us can go into Whole Foods day in and day out? Most of us can't. Yeah, yeah, right. Most of us can't. But see, they can do that. Let me share this with you all, and I hope when you watch it, it don't scare you out your wits. It's an old movie. It came out in the 70s. Charleston Heston. It's called Soylent Green.
Don't talk about that.
See? Soylent Green was a movie about the government had taken over the lives of the people. And there was a food shortage that was created by overpopulation. So their way of resolving the problem, since the world was overpopulated, they had ran out of space in the earth to bury the dead. They didn't have any more space. They had ran out of space. This is the gross part, and I got to tell this part, even though I still want you to watch the movie. I'm gonna tip it off. I'm gonna tip it off. Soylent Green, Soylent, Soylent Green. And what they did, they was taking the bodies and reprocessing the dead as food. So they were making them into little food chips. Pink, blue, yellow, and it carries certain nutritions of whatever the meal was. And so Charleston Heston, he was the police to help enforce the law, to keep the law of the land, and to make sure that the people got their chips, got their rations, and that they never knew the source. He was the gatekeeper. When he found out that the government had just went awry and was doing this to the population, he decided to become a whistleblower. And the picture goes on with him blowing the whistle, trying to warn the world about what the government was doing. And at the end, he meets his demise. So that's why I just gave away the ending. But you still have to watch it. You need to follow that. And that's my whole point, Sister Monica. The sophistication is this way, that as I mentioned, what do they call the food that's not real? What is it? It's not processed, not GMO. That's the term I'm looking for. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they don't have to give us the chips per se, but the fact that they biomechanically engineer the food to make it do things, that's enough right there. That's enough right there.
Most of the products you'll see bioengineered.
Yes. And to poor America's detriment, most of us here suffer from it because outside this country, they don't buy it. They don't touch American food. You go overseas, and we can take a bag of potato chips from here and that same brand over in England. Look at the labels. It's going to say from England, potatoes corn oil, vegetable oil. That's it. You're gonna look at the American bag, it's gonna say canola oil, sunflower free, this extract, that extract, words you can't even pronounce of the chemicals that are in there.
They say canola oil not really good for you.
Most oil. See, the reason why fried food is a detriment for you is because of the oil, not the fact that it's fried. Our bodies can't process the oil, can't break it down the way it needs to in the timely fashion that it needs to. So, yes, 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 yes. So once again, to our benefit, the Islamic lifestyle, the cultural lifestyle of Al-Islam, yeah, it saved the Muslims, but it'll save the world. Anybody that immerses itself in the cultural life of Al-Islam, you in the saving grace. You in a place to be saved. And as I told a group of people, please don't misunderstand this. You don't have to be Muslim to read Quran. You should be doing it. If you're a conscious Christian, if you're a conscious Jew, you don't have to abandon your religion or your faith to read and study the Quran. This book is a book of all faiths. It has an appeal to the human creature on all levels, no matter what your background is. It's a universal religion, universal application. Like minds come together.
Yeah, no matter
Yep.
what.
So, in conclusion, if we're going to be talking about establishing ourselves in America, once again, getting money ain't going to do it. Just getting an education, that ain't going to do it. Then the question becomes, yeah. So what would do it? What would do it? What's the question? What would do it if those things won't do it? What would do it? We have to work at changing the behavior of the African American people. It is not what we want that is stigmatizing us. It is what we are and what we continue to be that is hurting us. So the very things that we're doing, the dead culture that we have submitted to, this culture of death, it has labeled us, it has stigmatized us, it has put the world in the position to see us as worthless. They always been looking for a reason to look at us that way anyway. By us refusing the guidance of God, it justifies their position in looking at us. Because you're looking at the people like, and then we're looking at ourselves and wondering why we're not getting the help that we think we should get. But we won't look at our hands and we won't admit our faults and our shortcomings to be worthy of the blessings that come from Allah. We want the blessings, we want the upliftment, but we don't want to do none of those things that qualify us for that. The good behavior, the good character, the sound moral codes that we should abide by. We don't want those things, but we want the benefits of them. That's the mindset of the enemy. That's the mindset of our enslavers. They taught us to think like that. We are conditioned like that. Sister Monica? Yes.
You could have raised your child in the best, and but when my son had to leave from school, I didn't love it. They had to fight.
Wow.
They dressed to the suit and tie. They made fun of them. They had to conform in order to survive.
Yes. Yes.
When we come out of that environment, you facing some.
I was traumatized. I know it had to be traumatized. Yes.
Cans and everything. He said, "Mama, you don't even know half the stuff because," and they had to just dress it. You couldn't come. You couldn't. I'm buying all these nice clothes to go to school. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. Yeah, those kids will annihilate your children.
Yes. 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 I'm glad you raised that point about the public school system here in particular. One of my grandsons was, in my opinion, was blessed to graduate from, I guess I'm plugging this, from the Betty Shabazz Academy. Excellent school, excellent school. I would wish and pray that the whole Chicago public school curriculum, they should adopt this. Between that school and urban prep, that's freedom for us, real educational freedom. And the reason why we say this is because at the graduation, the whole graduation was African-centered. No student was allowed to graduate in a shirt and tie. You had to have a dashiki. You had to have something African on. This was the whole class. The staff, everybody, African-centered dress. The songs they sung were in Swahili. The dances they done were African, Jamaican-style dances. Everything, I saw no vestiges of European culture at all. It's just that, as the song says, we got our own thing.
But you can say that, you have to understand that it may have been back there then, as time progress, those teachers retire, those really good teachers, staff that come in behind that,
They're not.
you're not gonna find that.
They're not.
And that's sustainable.
I know it's not. And to your point, matter of fact, I want to read this hadith to you. I'm glad you raised that. This is reported by Abdullah bin Amir bin al-As. It's a hadith. He said, I heard Allah's apostles saying, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah does not take away the knowledge by taking it away from the hearts of the people, but takes it away by the death of the religious learned men, till when none of the religious learned men remains, people would take as their leaders ignorant persons who, when consulted, would give their verdict without knowledge. So they will go astray and they will lead the people astray. And this is what we have going on. This circus that we have in Washington, those so-called leaders, bad models, bad models, leading the world astray. So the youth comes up and they say, well, if the leadership can do crime, why can't we? Why should I walk around with the moral uprightness when the leader of the land don't even have no morals?
They do change, but you do see a change, but that's way down the road. You've learned your lesson a lot.
Lamar Collins would be in that group too, right?
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, why do we not hear anything of her anymore? Because they tried to take her out of her program when they brought her to Washington. She said, no, this is not the way I'm going to do things. And the next thing we know, poof, she's gone. We don't hear about her no more. But, Sister Stephanie?
Positive education was like that. And then they got a grammar school over there around 75th near Cottage Grove. And I think their program didn't stay like it was,
They stopped funding them. They don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point, Sister Monica, we got to come back full circle and learn really how to support self. I don't think there's an expression or a phrase more powerful, even though in principle it has existed in time, than the expression of do for self. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was inspired with that, man, I don't have the ability to articulate it. I really don't. It's so powerful. It's so deep. It's so moving. That simple expression, those words, do for self.
Everybody did something in the community.
Everybody.
No matter how small, how big, there was no big eyes or little. You just
do for self. I mean, let's just take this. Let's just take it on one little derajat, one little level. Do for your nafs. Self is nafs. Soul. You're talking about do for your soul. Do for your soul what nobody else would do for it. Do for your soul that is needed for your soul. Do for your soul. Give it the development, the support, the nourishment that it needs. Do for your soul. Oh, that's powerful. You can't get a more clarion call. Do for your soul, educate your soul, elevate it, bring it up, nurture it, take care of it, sustain it. Brother Imam?
And actually, for souls, your soul will come everything.
Everything.
Your thinking, your faculty.
Everything.
Yeah, I remember hearing that they were doing the Reagan time in office. Was she offered a position? Was it the Secretary of Education? Was she offered that position?
No, education. Yeah. Yeah,
I heard it from you, I heard someone that said she turned it down
yeah.
because
She saw the corruption. She saw it was,
when she talked with and one of the things she required was the parents, but we had back in the 80s, like 81, 82, Jeremiah's mother, we had her in Marvin Collins School on the west side. That was, she only had the one on the west side, and she had to be bused over there. We were there about 2 years. And then when things changed, we had to take her out. She actually went to near Marvin Collins, near Six Square Company. And one of the things that Marvin Collins required for the parents of the students to be involved in their tuition. You had to actually come up to school and sit in the class. Yeah. And anytime, any fundraising, you had to be there. That was mandatory.
yes,
You had to be there for the fundraising.
yes,
Whatever the will and attend the events and be involved in your children's life
yes,
in school.
yes. And isn't that right? Don't that just make sense? Don't that, as a matter of fact, I'm going back to what we alluded to Friday in the case of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ishmael alayhi salam. That because of Ishmael's education by way of his father, he was more than willing to accept his fate to be sacrificed by his father to Allah. He didn't have any issue with it. He didn't do what we would have, right? He didn't do what a normal child, oh, pew.
His father gave him, he told him, it's the way his father presented it to him. It was
Laid a beautiful foundation. Yeah, his understanding, and that's a subtle sign in that teaching for us all. How we should dedicate ourselves, as the Imam had pointed out, to educating our children in the proper manner about their ancestry, about the community, about our life, about this religion, about Allah. All those things that help to purify the culture, meaning the life of the person. If we instill that into them in the early age, we drum that into them, and you don't have to drum it into them and like in some religious circles where you it's just mandated, you can't go play, you can't do nothing, you just walk lockstep in that regard. And then when you turn 21, you wind up leaving religion from it being forced on you. And we have religious denominations that are like that, where it was so rigid, so strict, and so imposing of the person that as soon as they got of a certain age and they thought that they was free, they took off. They took off. And because they did not have the right aspirations and the right knowledge for guidance, they made the wrong choices. And this is what we do. This is how our jinn nature comes into play and help insisting and helping us to make the wrong choices. That's our jinn nature. Yes.
Like what the Black Panthers did back when I was a kid on the west side. They had that building on Madison and Western, and they had a little daycare. They are the ones that started like feeding the children, and the children learned positive stuff. So by the time they did have to go to public school, they had some kind of inner, sense of self and pride and Africanness and culture. So even if we, it's sad that all we have is what, Sister Lynn with the
school, yeah, with SIM.
And children. The top out and have this grade and that grade and have some partitions in here and have all the little grades.
Well, see, it goes to, in addition to that, Sister Stephanie, what we need is the support of the community, those who still have school-age children. We have lost the confidence in our own ability to educate ourselves. We don't even want to send our kids to the Muslim school. Well, I know that to be true, especially here in Chicago. I'm not talking about the rest of the country because I've seen their efforts. I keep track of their efforts. I can only talk about what I know from here because I live here. And our efforts are not as strong as they need to be. And it's because the beat down by the society, the beat down by this negative culture to shame us into thinking that our schools are inferior. We have fallen back into that belief. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he instilled in us a sense of pride in our schools. That's why he named it the University. He's telling us we got educated by the universe. And we put that down for some secular crap, for a little piece of this. We put that down. We lost our belief and our faith in our own ability to educate ourselves.
People have Saturday schools.
Everybody got, yeah. Look, they deprogram that, and they have that because they deprogram their children, their young people when they come from these public institutions. And you're gonna attend that Saturday, that Sabbath school, or you're gonna get disinherited. You're gonna get ousted. They are strict about that. So you're gonna come, you're gonna learn some Torah.
Wipe away our history, but the Jews bring up their history. It's okay, it's like.
It's like this, Sister Monica. A dope fiend that gets free dope, he ain't gonna never kick the habit. If I can get free dope, I don't want to kick my habit. So that process, those people, that whatever we want to call them, they have us in a situation where without us, they can't get fed. Our detriment is their fortune. And they have to continue to put things in place that keep us like that so that they can continue to reap the financial benefits of our destruction, of our demise. Yeah. And now that they have invited the rest of the world into this, look how we can do with these Negroes. When y'all come over here from overseas, you Indians, you get you a Baskin Robbins. You get you a Subway. We're going to block them. We're going to make sure. Yeah, we're going to make sure that this Negro boy don't get nothing. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Put it far to reach, just like they did Jesus, just like they try to do Muhammad. Put him so far to reach you can't even identify.
Well, you know.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
We spend all the money at every taco place there is.
Yeah, we the problem.
Every, Chinese restaurant there is. You know what? The stable black soulful restaurants, you know, that used to be on Ashland and other places, they're gone now. Cause Chipotle, I eat this, but now I try not to as much as possible. But why don't we have the things that were in our community, Mims barbecue and things like that lasted the longest? Why don't we have the Nation of Islam restaurant? That was the best food in the world.
Yes.
My mother took me and my roommate there when we went to college. It was the best food in the world. Before to eat there, my mother was on welfare.
Amen.
You know, you're right, I agree. We have to take self accountability for what we see that's happening in our community. We can't just sit back and say that everybody else is coming. Yeah, everybody else is coming over here, but we were over here first. And history, too much of our history, showed us our success, even though we have had things to work against us in our success. Black Wall Street, in integration and whatnot. But what I see in our people today is not an entrepreneurial mentality. I see a get a job mentality. I got 6 children. I talk about entrepreneur all the time. I would think 1 out of 6 would sit back and say, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. But all of them decide that they want to be employees.
Want a career.
They want a career.
They want insurance and stuff like that.
So, but my thing is, my father raised 9
with his business, right?
being self-employed.
Right.
As a contractor. And I didn't realize that when we went to the doctor, we went to the county, but we didn't know it when we were little. We know we just went to the doctor.
Right.
You know, it was only after we got grown that we realized we went to the doctor. When we went to the dentist, we went to the University of School of Medical Dentistry,
Mhm.
where they had the kids messing up, practicing on us and stuff, you know? But I'm just saying is that, we have to change the narrative. We have to change the thinking of a new generation of people. That's why they call Gen X, because they already X'd out a generation. They already X'd this generation out.
Mhm.
This generation is about having fun. It's about partying. You know, it's not about this, reacting to the seriousness that we see that's happening in the world, in your country. You know what I'm saying? This big ugly bill that just passed didn't stop people from going to the clubs, didn't stop people from, they celebrate the 4th of July like it was their holiday.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the 4th of July, matter of fact, that's to me should have been one of the biggest boycotts. You know what I'm saying? That, we ain't gonna do nothing
On that day.
on that particular day.
Here's why it happened, brother man. Oh, did you finish your thought? Oh, go ahead. Somebody.
Oh, he was picking up on something I think.
Yeah, you said, I didn't, we sustain those things.
Right, why did we?
I think about.
Psychological conditioning. Yeah, but to answer her psychological conditioning, psychological conditioning has taken us out.
When I was in the nation,
Well, after Muhammad came, you had to do it on your own.
Right.
You know, everybody standing over you.
I thought I was Hebrew Israelite, but I ate, the fish, I bought that fish every week and went to that grocery store every week instead of the EMP, so.
Yeah, brother man.
You just go back to a couple of things you said. You mentioned something about the person on dope. A dope seller, in order for him the business to, thrive and survive and thrive, you gotta create the market for his business. It's not one out there. He got to create it. So he created a, market for his business, and maybe he have one or two people out there doing, introducing it to the people that he's gonna sell it to. And then once they get hooked on it, you gotta come to him. In Mel's book, Free for New People, he talks about how the diabolical satanic mind, how he would capture the soul of the spirit of the human being. The most sacred thing of the human being is his knowledge.
Yes.
Now, his soul, which he calls, that's it. Everything about it. So he create all this environment for, and they now use the term sweet tooth. Anybody can, sweet, if you eat a lot of sweets and you continue to eat those over years in your life, you're gonna get hooked on it. You're gonna crave for sweets. So he had created this environment for the human family, and we keyed in on the African American community, particularly. It includes other people of the world. But as far as an environment has been created for us, we got us hooked on dependency. That's a sweet thing. That's something that was created, a dependency. You got us hooked on the fact that a particular savior, he dressed him up, he fixed him up, and this is your savior. Regardless, if you don't really pull away from that, be able to pull away from that with the right knowledge and understanding, you're still going to have this idea of this savior in your life, the savior, which is the image of Christ Jesus on the cross itself. Even if you don't even want to, if you don't even have that up in your church or your home or whatever,
The influence.
you're still hooked on it, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
And just society itself, all the things that they put in food. My sons, the twins, they do a lot of travel, South America. The food there is much fresher than.
Yes.
He said they don't even refrigerate eggs. He said that eggs you buy, when you go to the market, buy eggs, they're not even refrigerated because The eggs that the way they grow them, when the eggs, when they produce, they don't need refrigeration. They don't stay on the market that long.
Mhm.
And it's a high turnover.
Yeah. I never eat so good until I leave the country. Yeah. Yep. I never eat so good until I leave this country.
And you get hooked on all this junk stuff that we eat, all this stuff that we eat. It's often considered sweets.
I'm so fed up with American food. And people's like, how you keep your weight? I don't eat. I don't eat.
Mhm.
I haven't bought a new set of clothes. I've been wearing the same set for the last 25, 30 years. Because ain't nothing here to get me fat. Because I don't eat this crap. It's so terrible. And so you cherry picking. You're trying to get the right thing. You're trying to get something that's close to purity as you possibly can. But this society is cutting off all avenues for purity. Can't you see our role now? Yeah, this is why we got to come back into the fold. It's really up to us. We got to purify this thing. If we don't,
Immigrants, they come on and set up these, the Koreans set up the store with the women product, the hair, the Chinese do the nails, the, Indians, they Subway, the seven.
yeah.
And it's like a gold mine. We just flock to them. We're so dependent on them for what we could actually do for ourselves.
Well, once again, that's that psychological conditioning in us of making us turn to everybody. But I want to return to a point that Imam Umar made about the it's about us playing. It's about the holidays. He has said something about the holidays. But what we do every time a holiday comes into our preview, we turned it into playtime.
Playtime.
So even the word holiday, which is a play on the word holy, it never becomes holy for us. It's just a time to play. So to Imam Umar's point about the 4th of July and all the celebratory things that went on, we don't care nothing about the 4th of July per se. We just looking for playtime.
The slaves got it.
That's it, playtime. Yes. When slave, one of the things that happened when they delivered that message about freeing of the slaves, that was one of the things they did. They went to straight up Jubilee. That's why the celebrations lasted from the 13th to the 19th, because nobody had the actual day. So they just was having just a Jubilee, just shouting and dancing. Yeah, but let me show you how bad habits form. It used to be during slavery, the slave was given one day, maybe no more than 2 days out of the year to do their merriment. And that was their Christmas holiday, and it might have been the Easter, where the slave actually got a few hours off. And so instead of resting and healing their wounds, they went to making their moonshine, and they went to doing the cooking, the whatever, the entrails of the animals that was left behind, the stuff that the master didn't want, and it became one big old party. So habit formed, habit kept. So now you go from twice a year being able to do this, now you got weekends, because you're free now, right? You're in the free society. But that slave habit is still in you to waste your time frivolously when some time to be wasted instead of trying to do something productive, try to set up a future. No, let's play. And let's play till we can't play no more. If you go to Jamaica, and I feel bad about the people, this people because of that. Their nightlife is like off the chain. They party so hard till I don't even know how they get up and go to work. So I asked them, I said, why y'all do that? They said because the day they working for the white man, and it reminds them, and just this pressure of being beat down by that culture all day. You're enslaved all day. You're persecuted. You're being talked down to provide a service all day. So the night becomes their escapism. So instead of trying to really do something to get out the oppression, because I said, well, why don't y'all do a strike? Why don't y'all revolt? Y'all can shut this stuff down. Somebody came out the crowd and said, brother, you don't talk like that here. They lock you up. I said, zip, be back. They said, you don't talk no revolutionary talk here. They will jail you.
Slaves, when they sang about how to escape.
Yeah, they had to code everything. Yes.
And then you had to watch for your brothers. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They said certain loyal slaves would fail anyway, so you had to.
It's been said that over half of the revolts that took place on the slave ships, over half of them were sabotaged because there was always a slave ratting them out. There was always this one Negro that would go tell the master.
It's always the same game. You treat them nice when they get, a few you select to treat nice. You feed them, they see the other one suffering. They don't want to go there, so they're gonna run back and tell.
Yes.
Always been the
Yes.
even in the game and games and stuff, they always have one person.
Yes.
See how they do the young, they groom them to do drugs, they groom them. That's the game.
Yes. Matter of fact, to your point, and that comes out of scripture in the Bible when it talks about Pharaoh. He says he told his army, his men to do what? Stick needles in the brain of the newborn, meaning to cripple their education at an early stage, stop their development. The needle was a form of poison, a body of knowledge, that if it was pierced into them, it would keep them down. And so why was the emphasis put on who? Newborn, meaning babies. Folks coming into their new minds, new knowledge. Let's stop them in their tracks.
I said you got a few select people who go, now why do you got a few select people who go and round them up and lock them up? Because you're being rewarded for what you do. You're being taught that this, it can't be done if you don't have a set of people who gonna go.
If you condition a person's soul into accepting and believing that money is the panacea, then they will do anything. And that's what has happened to the majority of the so-called working class American. They've been enslaved by the job, by the promise of the money, to the point that this selfishness creeps in and it becomes a thing about me and mine. I don't care about you and yours. It's about me and mine. What can I put on the dinner table tonight for me and mine, even if it's at the expense of you and yours? So this selfishness is driven in this culture. And so it really epitomizes the expression dog eat dog. We're in the dog eat dog world, brother man.
They had infiltrators back then. They had infiltrators and now they're like, and that's how, and over time, they had infiltrators. They had someone who was spying, who was looking out.
At every turn of our history.
With Malcolm X, with Martin Luther King.
Yes.
It's only so far that you're gonna go.
On top of it, what you were saying is that, we live in a demoralizing environment where people values and morals and respect for human life is not what it used to be. So, these people that, I look at these people that work as independent contractors in these war situations. And these people that work as independent contractors for the border and that work for ICE and whatnot, they don't have the values, the morals, to not treat people the way that they treat them. They treat them like listen, they treat them like,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is that, sometimes in their life, people conscience get to them, way after they done they wrong, 60 years old or whatever it is, it hits them, for what they done wrong. There's a lady right now who used to be a really big person in the Pentagon and whatnot, and now she is campaigning against what's going on with Trump and whatnot, I mean, before she was on that side,
She can see, she can see the light, she can. once you've been, let's see, like with anything, when you open up your eyes and see, your moral character steps in, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
You try to do something, because everybody, you've got this urge to want to do right.
Yeah.
God put that in our nature to want to do right.
Yeah.
So it's like you may have had a part of that. Like I said, people who do wrong, you've got the biggest, most of these people who come to religion, they have been the biggest crooks. You can't say their slate was clean, because when they start telling their story, you're like, wow, you did drugs, you did this, you did that. And they start telling it because they had to limit it, say, I don't want that in.
Right.
What person you know who in power haven't had, they have to go through corruption to get to where they are. They kept fighting and fighting. You don't know how. Listen to their story, you be like,
Yeah.
you get all like, you did
Right.
what? You came from where? And then they're in power. They're the holiest person, you'd be like, how did they get there? Because they went through something to get to them. And I mean, you could be, yeah, you can escape a lot of that, but most of the people you see when they tell their story, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Drug addicts, you listen to them, you see how they became clean and why they get out there and help other drug addicts become clean, because they were there. So no, whatever I can do, hand it out, whatever, they tell their story. Allah uses us all for a purpose. We all have, every one of us have a purpose. Allah has for us, no matter where we come, whatever we go through, you still gonna get to your purpose before you leave this earth. If you try to please Allah, you try to do what's right, you're gonna come to something and say, that's why we're here. We feel it in our heart that we have to do something, keep this place open, do what we do. The doors are open for anybody to come through here.
Yeah.
I'll see the same people every Sunday. Somebody has these doors open till they come.
But see, we have to keep in mind the expression, well, Jabril is shown the afterlife. Where Jabril is shown the beauties of the world, not the afterlife, the beauties of the world and what is whole. And then they do a 360 and he's shown what destruction, what it can bring when Allah is not involved. And so that's just a glimpse and a sign for us to look at, to see how the world, how, as they say, it can change on a dime. It can change on a dime. And the influence that comes with it will change you just like that. We have to constantly be conscious of our surroundings and what's going on and those things that can infiltrate. This is why we constantly express ourselves by saying, I seek refuge in Allah. From who? From Satan the rejected.
I tell my kids all.
Yeah, he didn't say, I seek refuge in Allah from Iblis. He didn't say, I seek refuge in Allah from the jinn. He said, I seek refuge in Allah from the shaitan. Because the shaitan is the influencer. The shaitan is the one who has risen above his jinn stage, his Iblis stage. He now is the purporter of evil. He sets it up. He plans it. He executes it. He builds people to carry it out. That's the shaitan. You a Iblis or you a jinn, you's a flunky. Okay? You play a part. You play a role. But when you evolve to the role of Satan, so now you're a commander in chief. Yeah, they have become Satans. They have become Satans. They are truly Satans. Satan is an intentional doer of evil. Plans it, thinks it, drinks it all day. That's what the Satan does. Purposely looks to do evil without any intent of showing any mercy whatsoever. That is a Satan. That's the language Imam Muhammad gave to us about the description of the Satan. Sister?
I think that as a people, all of us are educated in this room and we know enough that we have to not just start with our families, but start, like we got this group here. What can we do to, the children, what can we do? Because it's something that we should not do. And it starts with, if we just had a school or, there's
We
people
have to
that,
come together.
yeah,
Yeah.
people that educated the homeschool their children.
Can't do it
And
alone.
their children do it great. What can we learn from those people that were educators, how to set up a curriculum? What do you have to teach for this grade or that grade? I mean, back in the day, the people that were teachers, they went to high school, so they were in what, a one-room school?
Yeah.
Teaching people, so
But,
it's
you know,
kind of worse
we have that.
circumstances.
We have that here, the curriculum
Yeah,
to set up, a school that was given to us years ago. And our problem is setting up the school,
yeah.
you know, having somebody to have that interest and wanting to be a teacher,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, that we can sit back and begin to implement,
Right.
Well,
that, you know, that's work. And that's the thing about it is that, you know, everybody want to come to a captive audience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I could set up a captive audience. They had to do no work. One thing I do is come and sit down, give a talk, you know what I'm saying, and walk away. That's so easy. You know what I'm saying? But behind the scenes to get it, that's where the work is, and that's what most people don't, you
So
know.
maybe I have to come in here with Sister Lynn, so you see
But you
doing.
can't.
but it's a good start.
No.
But it's
You helping Sister Karen, you helping this sister, you do this and that, you know, you wanna paint this and you know, all that kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's in your heart and that's
Yeah.
good, but what's gonna happen, you're gonna get burned out and you're gonna quit.
You have to be a recruiter of people.
Yeah,
Right.
Talk to
Yeah.
them, like get, like, the, amen.
Delegate.
We listen to him, we're here because they're giving a message. We all have messages to give them to our spouses, our children, our relatives. Go out in the broader community, we all have a voice. So when you have a cause, we have to go speak it. Just like with the pioneers, you know how many people showed up there? I've never seen before in a long time.
Yeah, but they were sending a message
It wasn't
that they
them.
were,
It was-
that they wanted this.
Yeah.
That's the message.
yeah. They want to be relevant. They want to still have relevancy in the community, and rightfully so. We owe them that.
In wheelchairs.
Yeah.
So we have, trying to have, event for the singles, which we see they don't want that. Maybe we can have twice a year, dinner for the, it doesn't have to be as elaborate as we did, but just for the pioneers to come out and have a social thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Simple menu that.
Look, I see a lot of churches that do it.
Yeah.
My mother's involved in a bunch of senior groups.
A lot of-
Sister Karen involved in a lot of senior
Yeah,
groups.
they have activities
You know?
for seniors.
And we
But
got
the singers
somebody
show
doing
up.
Tai Chi.
Nobody else don't show up, the seniors will show up.
Even if we just exercises in the chair,
Mhm.
on the YouTube and do that, cause
Yeah.
we gotta keep moving. When I was still working and I was like, only 30 of us and 20 people again. Every, Ramadan, everybody is diabetic and then I was diabetic. Well, we're not eating right, we can see that physically, you know, even though we eat good, we're not eating enough of the same, so
It's the chemicals. It's the processing of the food. Yeah.
we gotta help Karen with that little girl out there and whatever, you know.
See, Sister Stephanie, to your point, we're trying to transfer the beauty and the value of this knowledge to our young people. It's hard for them to see it because of the obstructions in the world. As I was saying, when Jabril would show the pros and the cons, and he said, man, how can anybody go straight after seeing it? You have to look at yourself.
Children are glued to this.
Yep. Yeah, and you have to look at the way Allah has set up our system of pleasure. It's natural. It's natural until it hits the extremes.
And set all this stuff up, now they figured out how dangerous all these doggone algorithms are that they created. They're making TED Talks about it, but it's unleashed.
They're targeting
It's
certain
on us, because we are always the threat to them.
Well, it goes back to what I was saying. If the dope fiend gets free dope, if we the dope, everybody get free labor off of us some kind of way, even though we might get a check. In the bigger scheme of things, it's still free. And it's free in the sense because they keep us in a position of exploitation where they can reap all the financial benefits. So that's one of the things of a dope fiend. Like I said, if he ain't got to spend no money to get his fix, he ain't gonna spend it. So why would they intentionally want us to be free? Why would they do anything that will stop them from making money off of us? Who's going to do that?
And social media is the new dope. You know,
Yeah.
whether you
It's one of many fixes. It's one of many fixes in the dope game.
just can't get enough of it. You know, you got, you know, it's, you
You
know,
mentioned, you held your phone up. Yesterday, I seen this FedEx truck was flying down the block right near me. And he was really driving fast. And he flew by me, I think he drove 2 or 3 times, and I said, what this dude? He was driving a truck about 35 miles down a side street. And I looked at him, he said, he was doing this here.
Uh-huh.
On the phone.
Driving like
Wow.
Drove 35 miles an hour.
I don't care how many restrictions they put on it, this is a monster right here.
Yeah. But see, it's like everything Allah has given to us. He created it good. Man put his spin on it and makes it bad. We are blessed to have this. Yeah. I was just thinking, remember when the pandemic first jumped off and everybody was kind of torn between the distance thing and can we come to the masjid and pray and all that stuff just was going on. And it was this instrument that brought some kind of consolation to us because we was going crazy. We was nutting up in society. We didn't know because we was listening to the crazy dictates from the government.
Separate and praying separate.
Yeah. I went against that everywhere I spoke. I went to Cleveland, and it was terrible. It was terrible.
Down over there, like you would look at the rate of people down over there and all over the world, it's like, what is going on?
Yes.
Kept praying to Allah, and you would, and then the test of you take the shot. It's like something you don't know about that they just created yesterday. Now you gotta take the shot. You folks.
Oh, yellow fever.
No.
No.
But his-
From the COVID. Yeah. But see, yeah.
It's all gonna be made.
Yeah,
Quiet as
yeah.
hell, we didn't know
And
that.
it's still affecting people in unknown ways today.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people okay, and some didn't.
There are doctors that are going into retirement because they have some health issues that are unexplainable. And they are the very people who took the shots. Yep.
My sister took the shot because she was a nurse and her son put a magnet on her arm and it stood. Because the shot, it's just like, you can put a magnet on your arm, wherever you took that shot, it'll just stay right there on your arm.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so I did take, what's that?
And you doing fine, thank Allah.
See, that's the crazy part about it. It helped some and it hurt others. But they knew this going into the game. You know, that's why they mass produced it and tried to get it out here on a mass plane, because they knew it was gonna hurt and it was gonna harm.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Matter of fact, our whole conversation today, American democracy. Remember, America is founded on an experimental democracy. America itself is an experimental democracy. That's why everything that goes on here goes on, because it's done as an experiment. Most of the language that you hear and when they use to set out to do something, what's this key word they use? It's called project. This is a project, meaning that it's temporary, meaning that it's designed for a specific cause, a specific duty. It's a project. It's a science project. And so everything that they do here in this government, the freedom is experimental. Our freedoms are experimental. Yes.
I was the practice of medicine, because it's being practiced.
And then they
There's
take
no-
a hypocritical oath.
Yes.
Right, exactly. But I know when I was growing up, there were kids with polio. And then when the thing came out, you know how they stood up in line and gave us that blood sugar in our sugar cube?
The sugar, oh, the placebo. Yeah, one. No, well, they took the polio shot and put it in the cube. Yeah, but some people got just the sugar cube. They called it the placebo. They didn't get the shot from when you can still see it. Yeah. I can honestly say myself, I am grateful for those vaccinations I received as an infant. It was. Polio was devastating the community in such a way that, I mean, it was really hurting people.
Generation is more corrupt.
Mm.
Back then, I think even with the prejudices and the mistreatment of African Americans and a lot of mistreatment going on, I think they did to try to advance the world in the best way they could.
Yeah.
The best of everything.
Yeah. See, medical science, like most things, have I thought I turned this off. uh, our situation, once again, it's unique. It's unique. The way they set these systems up, they are purposely designed to hurt and harm us because they benefit from it. Our freedom will become their enslavement. And so it behooves them to come up with as many plans as they can to keep us from achieving real freedom. So this is why they block this information that comes out the Quran. This is why they cut off the kind of conversations that we want to have with our youth. Because if they start hearing this kind of talk and getting involved in this kind of talk, there's going to be some progress. There's going to be some development. Imagine you got a room, 100 kids in a room, and we bring this message. If we get 2 out of that 100, we've done our job. If we get just 2 out of there, because that 2, they're going to go do their job, and they might create another 100 out of each one of them. It becomes like that ear corn. It multiplies. That's why Allah uses that analogy to show us his wisdom, how it multiplies, how that grain, how that one ear can support and sustain so many. It can do so much by its sheer numbers, and its small numbers. Each kernel is small, but it packs a power. Each kernel packs a power. And when it's joined together, it's just like any matter that we use. When we fuse it, when we put it together, and we create that matter, what we call explosion, out of it comes a form, a life, something comes out of it that's constructive more so than it is destructive. This is the matter, and this is what Allah wants for us to tune into the matter, all the matter. We have to be in tune with everything in creation, because everything in creation is a part of us. And we have to be at peace with it. If not, you got to make peace with it. So there are things that are in existence that, oh, I don't like that and I don't like this. And it can be for a small, petty reason. It can be for a real ignorant reason, some unfounded reason, that when we come into consciousness of it, then we have to correct it. We have to correct it. So this is what our whole culture is about. The culture of the human being, the cultural life of the human being, it's all tied to this. And Allah gave us this in order to improve our situation. And the conversations that we've been having today, we seeing our people turn away from this. And we seeing our youth turn away from this. And we're trying to come up with plans. We're trying to appeal. But at the end of the day, it really becomes the individual choice. Now, we're going to still do our part, inshallah, to make an appeal. We got to do things that are appealing, that attract. But the end game is that the individual or those people have to make the choice. And what does Allah say about that? Your condition won't change till you change what's in your nafs, your soul, yourself. So we have to make a move on that. We got to continue with this fight. We can't lay down and think that well, it's not enough being done, and maybe we ought to just not do anything. That's what Satan wants. Yeah, he wants you to give up. He wants you to put yourself in a position of weakness so he can come right in and thump you off, knock you off. But we're going to be all right, dear Muslims. So, in conclusion, we're being molded, we're being shaped and prepared by Allah as a manifestation of Allah's many wonders, his miracles, and his signs. And we're not the only entity. We have to understand that we have a tendency sometimes to talk in exclusive terms. We think everything is germane to the Muslim. And we got to stop thinking like that, because if Al-Islam is a universal religion and Muslim is anybody and everything, then our applications, how we talk, the way we see, has to be like that too. We can't restrict it and put it in a corner and say, this is that for that. Our religion don't work like that. It's for everybody. It has an appeal to everybody. So keep in mind too, as a rule, it's good and bad circumstances that influence the shaping of us as a people and as a society. And these circumstances, that we're going to act upon them until they either establish us or they bring us to ruin. And we've already got the formula for establishment. We have it in the personage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have it in the explanation of the Quran itself, the revelation. We have contemporary leaders today who serve as beacons of light and models for us. So if we are in doubt about anything regarding this knowledge, there's no excuse. We have a way to finding out what we need to know to do the things that we need to do. The harshest circumstances can work to motivate a people towards establishment. The harshest conditions, i.e. our slavery. We worked and we fought until we reached this kind of freedom. We don't have shackles on us anymore. We have them of a worse kind now because they're mental, they're spiritual. But nevertheless, we freed ourselves from the physical bondage that we was up under, from those conditions. So, and this happened because even though we was not connected with the language, we chose it in our soul to connect with Al-Islam. We didn't have the language, but we had the principles. We had the moral principles, so we connected with that. And in choosing the life of a Muslim without knowing that we chose the life of a Muslim, salvation was in that. So Allah still favors you. You don't have to be an intellectual, spiritual giant and know every direction and everything that's going on in your spiritual life to get that benefit. All you gotta do is be your, as they say, be your humble self. Allah give you the knowledge. He reveals that. Just be your humble self. He'll give it to us. Let's keep in mind that slavery was an ugly and horrible state or condition on us. But it was slavery that was a factor in influencing us to think ourselves out of weaknesses and out of our deficiencies, and it brought us into independence, into production, and into the resources. This is what our thinking has afforded us. Keep in mind, slavery was forcing us to want to have an existence above the beast in the field, to want to be recognized with free and dignified human beings of America and everywhere. So slavery was a motivation. Yeah, it was a detriment, but it made us see that we're supposed to be equal with everybody, every other human being. So we started working and striving for that. We knew that we were not to be equal with the beasts of the field. We knew we could look at our own human form and makeup, and we knew that we wasn't a horse, we wasn't a cow, we wasn't a bull. We knew this, even though we was working right alongside of them, forcefully. But our nature, we knew this, and so we rose up. We fought it, and we fought all of the forms of slavery as we'll continue to do it today. Al-Islam is the perfect tool. It's the best tool for liberation. because it gave us the true liberator himself, Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, upon him be the prayers and the peace, the greatest liberator of all time. Once he came and freed the religious world of the burdens of symbolism, he did this for the whole religious world. It wasn't for the Muslim, for the whole religious world got freed of the myth and the symbolism that was holding the people down, keeping them in check, keeping them dumb, so that they couldn't do for themselves. They couldn't do it. There's a non-serious environment that we have to think about. This playtime. The non-serious environment will overcome us. It will defeat us if we're not careful. And we should want to be a factor for supporting commendable change in America's behavioral identity. This is why the man picked up the flag. He was showing us how we can be a part, how we can be an influence in that change, how we can make this happen, just like they changed it and reversed it back with the government that we have today and took us backwards. We can come right back into that same position and change this for the better, where we all can identify and benefit from it. We hope that one day there will be more strong Americans who would have grown stronger through their contacts with Muslim life and Muslim contributions to the genuineness and the colorfulness life of this American population. This is our prayer. This is our direction. We want to be an influence in the American life, and not just a Muslim influence, but we have to be an influence on life in general, because Allah has taken al-Islam and labeled it as the community of the Khalifa. This is the community of the Khalifa. So we got to do this. So those who don't want to do it, you don't have the will to do it, step out the way and let those of us who want to get it done. And we know a lot of us are old and up in age, but we got fight. We still got spirit. And as I said earlier, if the influence of either one of us rubs off on two young people, you've done your job. So one of the guarantees and entrance to paradise is the freeing of slaves. So we got to start freeing these spiritual slaves, freeing these people from their spiritual bondage, so that we can all be free and live in peace. So we have concluded our talk for today. Oh, and on time too, in a timely fashion. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Of course, you know me. I always got a whole ton of stuff to talk about. So we'll save it for next time, inshallah. This is a topic. I've been talking on this a long time. Listen, the audience, don't pay any attention to her. Yes, we will. So I'm not going to close us out. I will step to the side and let our resident imam, he's going to come up here and give some comments and make some announcements and things like that. And Brother Imam Lawrence is going to come up. And so I want to clear myself out of the way right quick. And
That, it's just us, it's not. I know. We don't do what.
Actually, we're not.
Okay.
We could do better. Yeah. We definitely could do better.
I mean, something to do with fire.
I'm sorry, dear Muslim. I leave you as I came before you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My bad. I'm sorry. Gotta get carried away there.
Some gonna be a lot of time trying to do it, trying to market it, a lot, so trying to wait for somebody to help us go.
Yeah. Right.
But he's not here.
Okay, that's
You gotta be, and you gotta have a spirit for it,
Thank you.
Yeah, or I gotta hire somebody,
Okay. Okay, well, we're just gonna close this out and a few announcements. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to thank Imam Tamir for that really beautiful presentation that he just gave us, and pray and hope that we're taking all the things and the comments that we have from everybody, because this is actually what it's about. Because, we have Juma prayer, which is on Fridays, and at Juma prayer, we come and listen to the Imam give his presentation, give the lecture, the presentation, his talk on a particular topic. But, one of the hadith of the prophets, when the angel Jibril came to visit him, when he was talking to his companions, and he made his way from all the way from the back of the line all the way up to the front, sat right down next to the prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he began to ask him a series of questions. We're not going into the question, what is Islam, what is faith? And he asked him all the questions. Each one of the questions the prophet answered him right. Because this angel, no one knew it was an angel because he was dressed, he was a stranger. He dressed in all white clothes, and no sign of journeying was on him. So after he asked the prophet the questions, and he answered each one of the questions correctly, and he confirmed that his answer was right, he left. And then Muhammad, the prophet, peace be upon him, asked this companion, he said, do you know who that was? And they said, only the messenger of Allah knows best. He said, that was the angel Jibril who came to teach you your religion. So what's the message in that? Questions. We all have questions that we can have about, whatever it is, whatever the subject is about. So this is the time to get the question answered. This is what this setting is set up. It's a giving and a taking. Well, I like to use the word taking. It's a giving and a receiving. A giving and a receiving. So we share information. So we know people have questions. So this is the time to get your question answered. If we may not say we have all the answers, but we do have resources where we can, if we can't answer, we can go and tap into the resources and get the answer and then come back to you later. And this will help us grow. This will increase your faith. Knowledge increase your faith, and your faith, it gives you more knowledge in the matter. So we thank, Allah for blessing us to be able to have this setting. We hope that He continue to bless us to, have this type of setting where we can share the information with the audience, the believers, non-Muslims. When we say non-Muslim, we're saying people not made of the Islamic faith. Everything is Muslim because that's the way God made it. The nature, they all had the same nature. So, as far as our announcements, the next event that's coming up is actually the next month. Is that correct? The 50 years celebration and of anniversary of the leadership of Imam Wahid Muhammad in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's
That event. I don't know if they're going to be on Zoom or anything like that. I don't think so. Haven't heard any announcement. So it's pretty much just going to be that. And, they have at some setting, but we plan to go, yeah. So Imam Omar and myself, we bought our tickets and made our registration. And I don't know if anybody else planned to go and made any registration. So, if you can, I mean, it's an expense. Yes, it is. So everybody cannot afford to, make that trip. But, and my wife be traveling with me, inshallah. So we're looking forward to that. And I think that's the only thing that's, as far as we normally have the rally around that time. Actually, it was supposed to be scheduled on that date, the 2nd. So we're not going to have the rally that we usually have here, where we block off the streets and, celebrate with the neighborhood. And so that would not take place unless we have in a future date in the future, before the summer's out. That's possible. But we haven't really scheduled a date for that. So that will probably be it for our products. We have, encouraged you to support the Bahar Center with the different products we have with the Muslim Journal, the books of Imam Muhammad, also such as the detergent. We still have some detergent. Did we bought some more detergent? I see some is up there.
Pardon
We bought some more detergent, I see.
me? No, we have to,
Oh, that's such an old one still up?
as you mentioned, I gotta call Brother Shaft and, see if he can,
Okay.
put it
So
more.
we have, always have the sardines as well as the African chicken sausage, the lawful chicken sausages. And some of the other oils and things of that, that we have the books. And the Muslim journals, of course.
We got some.
Okay.
So we'd like to thank everybody, and we're gonna close out with a dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal as inna insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Ameen. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.